Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another First Impression. With me, I have Jehovah
Hey.
and Richard Bailey.
Yo, what's up?
I'm your host, Charles Singletary, aka Profex, and today we're going to be talking about Dizzy Wright of Funk Volume and his album, The Growing Process, which drops on May 26th, which is going to be today by the time that everybody watches this, unless y'all watching it as we're recording it. Shout out to you if you're like that one person.
Or the day after.
Or the day after. But let's go ahead and jump into it. First off, have y'all listened to Dizzy Wright before?
I have never listened to Dizzy Wright before this.
Gotcha. Are you familiar with Funk Volume?
Mm.
No? So that's Hobson. Jared Benton.
I knew he was Hobson's artist, and I've listened to some Jared Benton before.
Yeah, Jared Benton, Swizz, and Dizzy Wright. I don't know if they have any other people on it. But Rich, you said you hadn't listened to them either, right?
Oh no, this definitely was a first for me.
Gotcha. But I know you've listened to Hobson before. Yes.
Oh, me?
Yeah. No?
Nah, man. That's Gary Swaby. That's his boy Hobson.
Okay, gotcha. So Gary's the one. Gary. I wonder if Gary's gonna listen to Dizzy Wright. We're gonna have to make him listen to it. But let's go ahead and dive right into the project. Did y'all get a chance to watch that video that's posted on the site right now?
No, I just listened to the album. I didn't watch the video.
Okay, cool. We'll go into that track once we get there. But Joe, go ahead and start us out. What did you think of the early portions of the project?
It's totally different than what one of the other first impressions that we just did. It was more serious.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it kind of sounded like alternative hip hop, and a lot of it was based off of the production. Like there was a lot of strings, a lot of guitars, so it made me feel like it was more alternative hip hop, which it's cool, whatever. It was just some of his tracks, like there were at least a couple. 2 or 3 in a row, I think, in the middle of it, where he starts talking about doing drugs and smoking weed and all of this kind of stuff. I'm just like, bro, like, you ruined the vibe. You killed the vibe. Like, you
it's so bad.
Yeah, the sequencing was bad on this. The song with Crit was amazing. Like, yeah, that and to have that like in the first like couple of songs, I thought that was really good. The intro was really good. I really liked the song about his daughter. That was a really cool one. But it just felt like he was mimicking Bone Thugs at times. And I got it because he has a song with Lazy Bone and Crazy Bone, and they're back to back.
Right, and those are probably the worst songs on the album.
They are awful. Like skipped. Like as soon as like I heard it, I skipped it.
Yeah, like the trippy part. I had a feeling when I saw those two back to back. I was like, oh, this is gonna be so bad because they're just gonna try to coast off the strength of just having those two names on there. And on Regardless, the song itself isn't bad, but Lazy Bone's verse, like it hurt me to hear it. Like it was painful to listen to.
Well, here's my thing too. Why not do one track with both members of Bone Thugs? Here's a thought.
Why fucking not? You definitely should have. Because, like, the Crazy Bone song, I could have done without that whole thing. Like, I don't care who, the singing, the verse, the hook, the beat, all of it could have been done. And then Lazy verse, they could have put Crazy rapping on Regardless and just been done with it. And I would have been fine.
Bro, I would have been happy hearing like Wishbone instead of like those.
Yeah, because they just did not execute at all. And I agree with you. The middle of that album stalls so bad. It just tanks because, especially with it starting so strong.
Like I haven't skipped that many tracks in a while. Like I skipped from like after the Bone Thugs ones. Like I started skipping.
Yeah, it's crazy. Rich, thoughts?
Well, I don't want to sound like too much of a broken record, but I believe Joe said a lot of the same sentiments that I have. Now, let me say this. Yes, the album started out fantastic. The song with Crit, God Bless America, that song was fire. You know, you had everybody on that song delivered, so I enjoyed that. The track after it I like too. I believe that's called "Can I Feel This Way." I enjoyed
that particular song, I actually listened to it out of sequence because for some reason I purchased the album. I bought it from the website, right?
Mhm.
So I downloaded it straight from their service to my phone, and it put that song as number one. And I was like, yeah, it was weird. I listened to it. It still didn't hurt that bad because it was a great song, but for some reason it was out of sequence. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because the playlist that we're using is a little bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. The album started off great, and I had a sense of, okay, it's talking about some intelligent stuff, very serious tone, but this was gonna be like some stuff you needed to hear, type of sentimental tip. Then we get to a point where the weed is discussed. And at this point, this is when I take a step back at the artist. I look at the name, and I say, Dizzy Wright. Well, he definitely made me feel dizzy towards the middle and end of this album because I just did not know which direction he was going in. Now, I'm not saying it's bad, not horrible, because there are some people out there that can vibe to this, but if he was going to really dive into this, really get into the weed, perhaps this is an album that should have dropped on 420. I already know he dropped his debut album on that same day, but he probably should have did it again if he was going to get into that. Because, I mean, for it to start off so strong and then just deteriorate, that's very, very, very depressing.
I definitely co-sign that.
Yeah. But, hey, the Crit song was awesome, man. Listen, that song was awesome.
Yeah.
He had a lot of good moments where he was talking about the racial and the social issues, and they all seem to happen at the beginning of the album. Then the middle of it's just like, hey, let's kind of do this now.
And it's so I don't understand how people listen to their work and don't hear these things because this is 16 tracks. That's a pretty lengthy album. And we're in a day and age where it's perfectly fine to drop like an 11 or 12 track album and then just do like bonus songs because, all right, looking at the track list, Higher Learning, God Bless America, Can I Feel This Way, No Time Is Better, Train Your Mind. You can cut 6, 7, 8, and 9 off this motherfucker. And then leave the rest, and we got 12 good to great tracks. And then if you want, put the little Bone Thugs and the Floyd Money Mayweather. Actually, burn the Floyd Mayweather song.
Yeah,
that song was paid for by Floyd, right?
Was the absolute worst attempt at a turn-up song I've ever heard in my life.
I hated it so much, and I knew exactly when I saw the name, I was like, I had a hope that it would go in a particular direction, but then I heard it and I was like, oh man, this is corny. This is mad corny. And like with the stuff that you talked about earlier in the song, where you kind of is holding artists accountable, you limit yourself. When you do that and you try to make the turn-up type of music, you limit your subject matter. And I think that's the brick wall that he ran into. Because I've been a Dizzy Wright fan, so I know, we got the weed songs and everything. And most times he does it really well. I don't really like any of the weed songs on this, but I think it's because the album is themed after a growing process. Not to say that smoking weed is like childish or anything like that, but it doesn't fit in what you set the tone for in the intro. It doesn't make sense. I can see it as a bonus song, but to have that drop smack dab in the middle, like the Don't Ever Forget track, which basically was a weed song, Smoke You Out, which isn't terrible, it just doesn't fit. Good Vibes actually reminds me of Kendrick's track, All Right, and the kind of up-tempo that it had, and I liked it. And it was kind of like the album had more of an adult sound to it. And yes, you're right. God Bless America is fire. That's probably one of my favorite collaborations I've heard all year so far.
That was really good.
But I'm not going to explain myself either, though, because that shit's kind of fire, too. That's the one with all the Funk Volume people, Swizz, Jaron Benton, and Hobson. They all showed out on that. But God Bless America, whew, those verses on there, and Tech Nine went off. I need to hear more Tech Nine on hip hop beats. Because he tries to break the mold and everything with all the stuff that he does. But give me some like boom bap, some slower tempo stuff, and just let him rhyme. Like Tech really can go off. But what would y'all say are the favorite tracks that y'all had?
The God Bless America track and the one about his daughter. I thought that was really cool to like have her like come into the booth and stuff. Like that was really awesome.
Yeah, all the stuff before the track, within the track, and at the end of it, that's pretty dope. And I don't think he has a video. Maybe he has a video. He might be working on one for that particular track. And all of that. Oh, I forgot to mention. I got to check out the video for False Reality because that's another one where he goes kind of a pointed attack on, the hip hop that glorifies violence and stuff. And the video is basically a short film where he has these artists that are making this type of music, and it's focused in on them, and it zooms out and shows you that that's a life that they live inside of a studio. But it also shows that children are watching it and then emulating it. And at the end of the video, they try to copy what happens in the video, and one of the kids gets shot with a gun that they went and grabbed out of the house. Crazy video, man, and it's done really, really well. It's really sad, but that's definitely something that people have to check out. And that video fits with everything that's going on in this album. But what if he does a video for this Bone Thug shit? We're gonna be ass out for that shit. But Rich, favorite songs?
Yeah, I agree. God Bless America. Can I Feel This Way was good. And then some of the tracks that you guys mentioned, the one with his daughter was nice. That was nice. I think that pretty much was the gist of what I enjoyed the most before going off kilter with all the other stuff.
Gotcha. I would say my favorite tracks, God Bless America, easily. I love Explain Myself, and I think Can I Feel This Way is one of my favorite ones too. The intro is great also.
Intro was
Higher Learning and Can I Feel This Way, God Bless America, and Explain Myself are my favorite tracks on there. But the daddy-daughter relationship is good too. And Will It Last, I actually didn't get to finish listening to that one, I don't think. As a matter of fact, I'm in the middle of listening to that right before we started. So I got to finish that track. But, so overall, what would y'all do? Would y'all recommend it?
If you're looking for a message, yes.
Rich?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth listening to. It's only $9.99, so not much of a major investment for those that want to pick it up. But they have to know that every song isn't going to be fire. They got to know that going into the. But most of the song, I would say, at least half the album is pretty decent, and then some of it's excellent. But yeah.
I mean, honestly, I feel like if you cut 6, 7, 8, and 9 out of the album, you got a pretty solid project, like through and through. You get, because this year's been solid as far as the album goes. We've only had really, I don't know what y'all said about the ASAP album, so this is me operating off of that. We've only had one album that was like a definitive no-no, and that was the Raekwon album that kind of bored everyone. For the most part, but 2015 has been strong. I don't think this is hurting it at all. I'm glad that I bought the album. I actually want a physical copy, but on that digital copy, I'm cutting those 4 songs out of that motherfucker real quick.
I'll respond real quick to what you said of the ASAP album. Listen, you'll hear it. For those who haven't listened to it, you can listen to it, of course, here on the site or the video, however you're watching this. Listen, the album is okay. Obviously, I have come to the conclusion I am not in his targeted fans. So he had a couple of songs on there that were good, but to me, half the album, I wasn't feeling half the album, and then the other half was, yeah, okay, that's good. The song with Kanye was good. When it actually got to Kanye's verse, the song with Wayne was good. So I give him credit for those, but everything else was just okay. But somebody's gonna like it, so hey, it will appeal to those people more so than it did to me.
Word. I enjoyed it, man. Yeah, because I'm not gonna be able to share my thoughts because y'all already did the video. I enjoyed the album. I only got like 3/4 of the way through, but I enjoyed what I heard. And that's based off me listening to his first album, so I kind of knew what to expect and kind of was in that vein. So if you don't like him, of course, I understand that for sure. But we can go ahead and close this one out. You got kind of 2.5 recommendations, kind of. But I think it's worth a listen. You know, the growing process, because he does. And if anything, the first 5 songs, I think, yeah, the first 5 songs are worth the listen for sure.
Yeah.
I wish it would have been dope if he did just like an EP with those 5 songs on it, because they're absolutely phenomenal. And I wish that he could have built on those a little bit better. But the album is worth it. It's just for that much. So give it a listen and let us know in the comment section what you think, and hit the eye annotation if you watch this after we record it. I don't know if I'm pointing in the right direction, but hit the eye annotation if you want to donate so we can continue doing all of this stuff. It's always going to remain free, but we appreciate donations no matter what, you know. But subscribe to the channel. Hit thecoalition.com. We got a lot of rain going on there. We got more stuff coming soon. Thank you for checking us out.